Another throwback teen slasher set in the 1980s, I hear you say. Don't judge too soon, because Night of the Reaper is darker and more clever than it first appears. Like all great slasher films, we open with a prologue of sorts. The quiet suburbs, a large family home, a teenage babysitter, two kids who don't want to go to bed just yet, and Pat Benatar playing on MTV. The stage is set. Emily finally gets the kids into bed, and she's enjoying complimentary pizza, Coca-Cola, and cigarettes when she thinks she hears the parents arriving back home. The garage door is open, but nobody is there. Emily goes for a little look. When she enters the house again, there's an ominous note left for her, and she assumes it's the kids pulling pranks. But of course, there's something more sinister going on here than bratty little children. You can probably guess that Emily sadly doesn't make it. Fast forward, and we're then introduced to Deena, a college student visiting her hometown for the first time since leaving. She's welcomed with open arms by her best pal Hattie, but there's tension lingering loosely in the air with some other characters. Perhaps Deena didn't leave in the best of terms with everyone. When Hattie comes down ill, Deena is asked to fill in for her babysitting the sheriff's little boy, which she reluctantly accepts, and then her nightmare begins. Deena's narrative runs parallel to Sheriff Rod, with both subplots obviously having a connection of some kind. The mystery involves a bunch of VHS tape recordings, one relating to an older crime thought to have been a straightforward accident in the woods, and another recording of Emily's murder from the prologue, previously unseen. The film then follows the sheriff attempting to connect all the dots, with the events happening during Deena's babysitting shift being the last piece of the puzzle. It's very evident from the opening credits that director Brandon Christensen and his brother Ryan, who co-wrote the script, are huge fans of the VHS era. The prologue looks like an homage to When a Stranger Calls, or Black Christmas, which are both inspired by the folk legend, The Babysitter and The Man Upstairs, and which in turn themselves have both heavily inspired an entire generation of home invasion and slasher horror films. But this isn't really a traditional slasher film, because there's actually not that many kills going on here. The bulk of the film plays out more like a mystery, with killer death scenes replaced by attempts to reconcile evidence in an ever-evolving murder case. Unlike most of the 80s horror throwbacks, whether set in the 80s or just an homage, this one shows restraint in the typical neon lighting and overused needle drops. There's some there, but it's not trite. The look of the film actually resembles 70s horror, with shades of hazy browns and tinges of orange. It's got a lovely autumnal feel to it since it's set at Halloween. The killer in question doesn't show up too often, as Christensen elects to build the tension slowly, perhaps too slowly for some, instead of going all out slicing and dicing, although there is a really fun kill late on in the film. I enjoyed the pacing and how the story unravelled, as there's a genuinely shocking twist that might make you want to do a rewatch. Night of the Reaper isn't just another Stranger Things inspired Fear Street copy and paste, although there would be nothing wrong with that if it was. The mask used in the film looks familiar for sure. Maybe a wink to Halloween 3, Season of the Witch. Skull faces hanging on the pegs of every Halloween store in every town, so maybe the look of the killer could have been more inventive. But Jessica Clement, as Deena, is a worthy final girl, with more than a fighting spirit, and although the killer's motives might be a questionable topic, the writing for the most part is really solid.